point out, just from having done this for a while, being in y'all's shoes too, when you give a medication, even if you give it right at 0900, I need you to put the time that you administered it and your initials. Don't just put your initials, because if you just put your initials, that can open a whole can of worms. If somebody was to audit the chart, survey the chart, be like, okay, well, they could just ask a lot of questions. It's not. The other thing, DCing a medication, so if you get a DC order, or even just like this one, is just a time change from Q4 hours to Q2 hours, PRN, go ahead and DC that entire list area on your MAR, and then you can write the new order. Just that way there's no confusion when it goes to be transcribed the next week. Especially if just the dosage changes. So say they normally get 7.5, now they're getting 8.5 mLs. If you don't DC that entire order, there's a bigger chance for a medication error because somebody might not see that little bit of a change.
Right. Even though you took the order, the next nurse may not be aware of it and so forth and so on. Especially if you're there, once a week and you actually change them all. So you're doing it to protect the patient, you're doing it to protect yourself. It's just a blow up of the other ones, just a point. And what we were kind of alluding to before, and this is kind of more pertinent to you as well, just with getting the habit on like the front page of the MAR, you should be seeing the clinical case manager, the clinician that printed them out, their initials and studies, and then the time and date they printed them out. Like I said, we will get to the point where you're getting new MARs every month, so then you can just simply look, see if you have up-to-date MARs, and you keep on moving. If that says February 20, 2016, you're probably not working with up-to-date MARs. Do's and don'ts of the MAR. When administering PRN medications, always document why the medication is being given. This is just something I stress, but it's not required. But like if you're giving Pulmicort, emergency albuterol, anything like that, document the vital signs that are associated with the medication. It's just consistent documentation. Write scheduled times for medications. Write legibly. Always sign with your title. Medications given more than an hour late or more than an hour early. Document the reason why it's coded the same. And then just ensure that all medications on the MAR have a corresponding MGA physician order form. And the same thing like I said with the discount.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am?
I don't know if it's something that has changed recently, but have you understood the issue with like cooks not wanting the actual nurses to have the orders they have to send directly to you?
I have noticed that a lot of some doctor's offices are just faxing them to us instead of sending them to y'all, giving them to y'all in the home. Now that you point out, it is mostly cooks doctors that have been doing that now that I think about it. So the best way to handle that, because we do get those in the office, but sometimes we're not sure if you receive them in the home. So what I would recommend for that is if you go to a doctor's appointment with your patient and they say, I'm going to fax it to MGA, call me, call Will, call a clinician in the office, let us know that it's going to be coming so that we can look out for it, and then we can get that to y'all so y'all can implement it in the home. Because I would hate for us to get an order that, like I can think of a situation where I got the titrated order, we were building a kiddo up on a medication, they only received the gold dose on the prescription bottle. So that was being given, it was having adverse effects on the patient because the nurse was never given that titrating order. So if they tell you, I'm gonna send this order to, but at the same time the nurse wasn't at fault because she was only doing what she was given. So if you go to a doctor's appointment and they tell you, I'm gonna fax an order to MGA, just call me, let me know it's coming so that I can look out for it, and then I can portray to you what that order is telling you to do. Does that work?
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, that's what we want to do. I had this happen previously, and I had to titrate a bit, but I've also had it where, because I go to the doctor's appointment, I'm physically there.
Mhm.
If it's cooks in particular, they fax the order over, but for the sake of the nurses that are following me, that weren't present when I'm
And that's a perfect idea too. Write it and have the doctor sign it if they will there. If they won't, just go ahead and write it and take it as a verbal order if they
That's
won't
what I
sign
do. I
it.
take it as a verbal.
That's
and
actually
you guys
probably the
actually get the order.
best way to do it. So like you said, the nurse is following you, it's already there.
Save us some paperwork.
Well, I don't send it in. I don't send it in because I take it as a verbal, but I just have that because it's been a situation like where he had to immediately start medication.
Right, but you
And-
don't send in the corresponding order?
No. Cook sends it directly to you guys.
They
don't-
fax it
they won't
directly
give
to
us an order.
But
They
go
just
ahead,
give-
whenever you take a verbal order like that, go ahead and send your white copy in, because we will match those up with what comes signed from the doctor. So then it's proof that there's a yellow copy in the home. Does that make sense? And I was gonna, one more thing on the barn, I'm sorry, Lisa asked a question. The times, we do not put times on the plan of care. That, they are not already in there, because what that does is it makes it completely inflexible, so we can't adjust times at all if I put them in the plan of care. The times are determined by the kid, like the schedule. So if they go to school, you're gonna wanna give most of their medications before they go to school, and then your 12 hours or 8 hours, 6 hours later. So we don't put that on there so that you're able to adjust it to fit with what works for the kiddo, as long as it's within the time constraints given. Does that make sense?
Oh, now that you said that, what about kids who don't have control? There's medications, there's
There's not an NDA nurse on staff with them during that shift?
No, and you could put that in your narrative, that school nurse gave daytime medications if you reported to a given day.
Right.
Yeah. No, then you wouldn't need to put anything for that, yeah.
Balance real quick. Don't document only initials for the administration, document that at the time. Don't document primary care, give the medications outside of your shift, so just like we talked about, happen within your shift, it needs to be reflected. All right, last one, inspection control report. Honestly, I didn't want to go over a lot of this because this is very self-explanatory. You're filling out patient name, the diagnosis, the date and form, date of infection, a whole bunch of other things. The only thing I wanted to stress is we need to get these. What we found is that some of them are just being left in the home, we're not being aware of them. And admittedly, we need to do a better job of doing root cause analysis of these infections, but we can't do it unless we know when you guys were informed and what were they put on. It could be a certain thing where we had 3 different kids or so go to cooks and all of them somehow had infections that week afterward. So when you're filling out the part down here where it says name of the facility, we need you to put that in excruciatingly detail. Everything that's applicable to the kid, I need you to fill out because we're required to look at our infection control log and track those metrics, but it's just good practice, period. When we look at notes from like a week before they went to the hospital, they could have had a random 101 fever on a random Tuesday before they went in. Maybe we could have done something to prevent them from going into the hospital. But we can't track this if we don't get this from you. You guys are at the bedside far more than we will ever be. So we're relying on you to give us that information. Okay? The biggest thing that I wanted to just point out, after I get through all of these animations I for some reason put in here, is this part. So, yeah, they have an infection, yeah, they've gotten over it, yeah, they've come home, that's all great. I need to know everything about what they put on their treatment because that's just as important as the reasons that they went in. Because let's face it, a lot of the patients and a lot of the families that you interact with are kind of new to this. Your experience and what X, Y, and Z was put on may help another patient. We want a knowledge transfer as much as possible. So I need drug name, I need strength, I need dose, I need route, I need frequency, I need start and stop dates for all the treatments, all the medication that your kiddos are put on. I know you're writing supplemental orders, I know you're getting them to us, but different people look at just this infection control log. So if this is just in one central area, we can better kind of track this moving forward. So, just think back to the last time your kid went in the hospital. Did you fill this out completely? Did you turn it in? That's all we really need. We just need your knowledge on paper. Yeah.
So when a patient goes to the hospital, and get 3 days, come home, we need to fill this, like if the day she fills it, and then the internship.
No, if the nurse that was on staff when they went already filled it out, then you're good to go. If it happened on your shift, then you need to fill it out.
And that's only if they go to the hospital for an infection.
Okay, so if a patient goes to the hospital and they are back, and the doctor has put them on antibiotic,
I need that.
I need to go, okay.
Mhm.
Is this only if they go to the hospital, or?
No,
Like if they
doesn't
get
infection. No, doesn't need it to.
Any infection, anytime. Basically what I say is anytime your patient is given an order for antibiotics, this is gonna need to be filled out. That's a really good way to make sure it's being done every time.
Yep. And of course, you're signing, even though it says print, you're signing the date. Do we have any questions? Just hit 8 o'clock. Does anybody have any questions at all? I appreciate you guys hanging in for that. I anticipate a lot more questions for the night crew than for yesterday morning, so I appreciate you guys getting the questions. You have all my contact information. You know the number to the office. I'm going to be blowing up your email, so I don't care if you blow up mine too. Any questions you have, just ask.
Hey, come on. Just want to make a quick announcement.
Guys, real quick.
Just real quick, one of the neat things that we have here with MBA is, we have a cool, a bonus referral program, and we want everybody to take advantage of that as an opportunity. Just please remember that we have a process in place to be able to refer a nurse and get credit for the nurse, so that we can go ahead and recognize you. And what we'd like to do is recognize our nurses who refer nurses and our end services, so that we can do, recognize you in front of your peers. But we've had a couple of phone calls where people are not very clear as to how that works. So please meet with your recruiter, ask questions. We've got some documents that will kind of break that down for you, so that you guys can take advantage of that. And hopefully next time we're able to award more referral bonuses. So I just wanted to make sure I mentioned that. Okay? Other than that, thank you so much for coming out. We appreciate it. Okay?